friction Fm to the normal reaction occurring between two surfaces in contact. So once you know the either of these three values, there are three unknowns 1, 2, 3. What is the normal force? What is the coefficient of static friction? What is the limiting or the maximum frictional force? If you know the coefficient of friction and the normal force, you can find out the actual friction. If you know the actual friction and the coefficient of friction, you can find out what the normal force is going to be. Or if you know both of these, the frictional force and the normal force, you can also find out what is the coefficient of static friction for each of the surfaces. On very similar lines, what is Fk? Equals mu k into n. Remember what Fk is? We talked about static friction. Static friction is the friction force generated just at the point when the body is about to move, about to slide. At that particular point, you are reaching the maximum value. Beyond that point, remember, you reached Fm, there is a sudden drop and you have kinetic friction. Motion has started, body has moved, Fm has dropped. Then comes into picture your kinetic friction. So once again, kinetic friction equals mu k into n. What is mu k? Coefficient of kinetic friction. So the coefficient of kinetic friction is defined as the ratio of kinetic friction to the normal reaction. You know either of these values or these values, you can find out n. If you know what is Fk and n, you can find out the kinetic friction. But remember one very important clause. Both mu s and mu k do not depend on the area of the surface. For example, if you have a block, the area of the surface is going to be just as this area, there will be certain area at the bottom and you also have the contact surface. This has nothing to do with friction. Both mu s and mu k depend only on the nature of the surface, the roughness of the surface and the other properties of the material itself, but not on the area. Okay, so when friction comes into picture, there are four cases. Let us very well understand what these four cases are. The forces applied on the body do not tend to move it. This case. There is no friction. There is no force which is trying to move the body, and therefore the surfaces are both very friendly and they are saying that okay, no resistance given, friction is 0. Second case, the applied forces tend to move the body. Here, either you apply directly a very simple force, or as I said earlier, an inclined force. If you have an inclined force, naturally it is going to have two components, as we have already studied the components. So there is always a component which is trying to push the body. The moment the body is trying to push or slide over this surface, what comes into picture? Good old friend, friction. Now here we have to find out, still what is happening? Force has appeared, no motion. That means your Px is less than Fm. What is Fm? the maximum frictional force. Fm we already know how to find out. So we know that till this particular point you can keep on increasing Px. Keep on increasing Px, we have Fm. It is not going to allow the motion or sliding of the body. Third case, the body is just about to slide. Look at this word, about. It is not sliding. So what is in picture? What is playing? It is not allowing the motion. So what is happening? Friction has reached its maximum value Fm. Limiting friction is in force. It is trying to resist. There is no motion. But just an iota of increase, very little increase in the force P, your Fm is going to drop. That is case 4. The body is sliding. From just about to slide, the condition just about to slide is now changed. The body is sliding. What has happened? Here, Fm reduced to Fk. So Fk is also now known. This is your last case, case number 4. Motion has happened and therefore your Px is more than Fm. Till the point that there is no motion, Px is completely resisted, body is in equilibrium and your Fm is in force. Six laws from whatever we have studied so far, from the first slide to slide number 20 as this slide is. Let us see what we have learned. These are called the laws of friction. The frictional force will always act in a direction opposite to what? To the direction in which the body tends to move. Very simple. You do not have to remember. In fact, all the 6 laws are very simple to remember if you have understood the concept of friction so far. The frictional force does not depend on what? Area of contact. If you have about 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, the difference in the frictional force that is given by the area in contact is not going to change as compared to 100 mm by 100 mm. It is the same friction. Why? Because it depends on the roughness, surface of contact. So you might say that it is a very small box, but still it is not moving, or it is a very large box and it is moving depending on the surface, depending on the force. So rather than the area, we have to look at roughness in order to control our friction. Law number 4. It will never exceed the maximum limiting friction, which is reached when the motion of the body is impending. Motion has not started. The sliding is yet not about to occur, but in the very next fraction, after a nanosecond, motion is going to start. The body is going to lose its equilibrium. That is your Fm. That is law number 4. Number 5. Friction is directly proportional to what? Friction is directly proportional to our normal force. The normal force, once again remember, does not depend only on the self weight. It depends on all the other external forces that you are applying in the downward direction or in the upward direction. That is the normal force. Now friction is directly proportional to the normal reaction N. For the static friction, the equation is given by static coefficient of friction and normal force. For kinetic friction, the equation is given by the kinetic coefficient of friction in order to get the kinetic friction. Remember coefficient mk. What is mk? Mu k. Kinetic friction will always be more or less? Less than your coefficient of static friction. Why? Because Fm is going to drop to Fk, and therefore it clearly shows that mu k will always be less than mu s. Having understood the concept of friction, number 1, the laws of friction, number 2, how friction is created, 3, and the types of friction, static friction or kinetic friction. There is one another important concept that we have to learn. Supposing now we have all those horizontal forces which are being resisted by your normal. There is no impending motion, there is no external force which is trying to move the body, and therefore there is no friction. Here comes one force which is trying to move the body. We do not know whether motion is going to occur or not. We assume that till so far no motion has occurred, but the moment this force has come into picture, F comes into picture. So far, because there is no motion, we assume that F is equal to Px. So, in order to replace the normal force N and the limiting force Fm, we have to find out R here. How will you find out R? R has two components, N and F. How will you find out R? So, if you just consider this block, the block subjected to force P at an inclination, some inclination is there, such that the horizontal component is not so large as to cause motion. It is a critical section. This angle is very critical. It is such that it is not causing any motion. So, the angle of static friction, new terminology, new concept. Let us try to understand what is angle of static friction. Is defined as the angle formed by the resultant R. What is the resultant R? The resultant R is obtained from the normal force and the limiting friction. Not any other friction. The maximum friction, the limiting friction which the surface can generate. If you have the angle that is formed by this resultant R, then tan phi, what is phi s? Angle of static friction, this angle. Till this angle is maintained, there is going to be no motion. Phi s equals Fm by n. What is Fm? Once again, we already know what is Fm. It is the coefficient of static friction multiplied by the normal force divided now by normal force. What is tan phi? Equal to the coefficient of static friction. As soon as you know the coefficient of static friction, that means once again we come back to the nature of the surface, the material and the roughness will constitute the coefficient of static friction. The moment you know coefficient of static friction, you will know that this is the maximum angle that can be maintained for no motion. Come back again to that example of ladder. If we put the wall and the ladder, very classic example, what is the angle that is required which will resist motion? Depending on the surface of the wall and the surface of the floor, you need to find an angle where the ladder will stay steady and you can safely climb over the ladder. This is the angle of static friction. You must have also heard sometimes when there is excavation going on, when we try to excavate pits. Now this is a very clean surface I have shown, but normally when you are digging, it will be like this. This is all your earth, and if people are working over here, the earth will suddenly collapse. That is due to the coefficient of static friction. In a very similar way, coefficient of kinetic friction. Motion has begun. When motion begins, what comes into picture is the coefficient of kinetic friction. That gives you the angle of kinetic friction. So friends, we have seen in and out what friction is, what causes friction, what is the angle of friction. In the next session, we will be seeing how to calculate static friction, how to calculate kinetic friction, how to find out which is the best angle in order to have no motion, how to find out the angle at which the motion is going to start. Wish you all the best and take care.